Good night, everybody. This is Brian Ghilliotti, aliasly known as the Phantom of the Night, and I would like to take the next few minutes to share my thoughts on the upcoming debacle in northwest Syria, the so-called Ildib pocket. Basically, I feel that it will end in a stalemate. It will probably be a frozen conflict. The reason for that is because primarily Turkey will do whatever it can to back the Islamist factions that are seeking sanctuary in that region. It can easily provide weapons and supplies to these factions through the piece of Syrian territory that it seized during Operation Euphrates Shield, as well as the sliver of land that runs along that it controls along the Mediterranean coast. Turkey pretty much feels that they want their piece of Syria for whatever role they played in helping destroy ISIS, and that's pretty much what they are looking for, as well as a place to safely store any extremist groups that it would like to continue supporting to promote its Pan Turkish agenda. From Trump's perspective, I think quietly he supports the efforts of the Syrian government and their Russian and Chinese allies to destroy the remnants of the formerly CIA-backed Islamic groups that were initially set up in the Obama administration and the Saudis to dismember the Syrian state and push a pipeline through Syria, starting in Saudi Arabia. From the Islamist perspective, many of the Islamic groups that popped up in Syria, like black mold outbreaks, as they were coming under pressure from the Syrian government and basically being slowly dismantled and destroyed with Russian bombing. Many of the Islamic groups, when given a chance to surrender and go somewhere else, they chose to go into Ildib. And Ildib is the final sanctuary for many of the Islamic, many of the remnants of the Islamic groups that were used to fight Assad during the Obama administration. There are many different groups now probably in that pocket, and not all of them get along with each other. My research indicates that there are plenty of groups that are fighting each other, and it wouldn't surprise me if Turkey actually took military action to basically punish those Islamic groups that want to be combative. Turkey has an interest to keep the remnants of the various Islamic groups in Ildib together and not fighting each other, simply because Syria and its allies and the coalition under Obama could easily exploit these groups that are in fighting to break down the pocket. So Turkey will do whatever it needs to do, either by persuasion or force, to make sure the Islamic groups behave. I could see Turkey doing nothing for any Islamic group that chooses not to accept Turkey as its overlord. I can see Turkey looking the other way and allowing for the Islamic groups to attack any anti-Assad faction that doesn't want to cooperate with Turkey. In exchange for Turkish support, Turkey expects that these Islamic groups will continue to fight for Turkish interests in Syria, also abroad, specifically to continue to put pressure on the Kurdish groups in Syria, as well as against Assad, as Turkey and Syria do have a historical conflict. Many of the Islamists feel that the United States is no longer a reliable ally. They were getting considerable support from the Saudis and from the intelligence agencies in the West during the Obama era. That all changed when Trump got into office, and they were left to be destroyed by the Syrians and Russians. The main contribution the United States played in destroying ISIS and the other anti-Assad groups was Trump's decision to cut off any funding from the intelligence agencies toward these groups. So at this point, they no longer look at the United States as a reliable ally, and they consider Turkey as their new ally, their new means of support. Many of the Islamic groups, though they hate each other, they probably realize that they have a choice. They can continue to fight each other if they have differences, or they could put aside their differences and work with the Turks to sustain their survival. And I think that this is what's going to happen, and their primary means of support will be through the Turks, and I think they may actually hold out. We'll see. From Syria's perspective, well, they have an interest in removing the Islamic anti-Assad factions, and they will do whatever they can. They will continue to work with the Russians and now the Chinese to apply pressure. However, it'll be interesting because Turkey will probably play a more active role in this phase of the war. Russia and China are going to be careful. They don't want to see a situation where there could be a potential direct clash between Turkish forces and Russian and Chinese forces, simply because, well, it'll be perceived as an attack on NATO. Turkey has a very tenuous relationship with NATO. They also have a love-hate relationship with the United States. their primary means of liking the United States is simply because they are a NATO ally. But they have serious differences with Trump and the United States over Kurdish policy, and now the sanctions that are being imposed by Trump in response to its refusal to hand over a U.S. citizen that has been arrested. Syria will probably use the Afrin Kurds in the country's northwest, or what remains of the Afrin Kurds, who are under coalition protection. The Afrin Kurds will play a double game. Publicly, they will support the coalition forces who are protecting them, but on the other hand, it wouldn't surprise me if they obtain covert support from the Syrian government to continue to put pressure on the anti-Assad militant factions in the northeast, which Turkey has been using to essentially destroy and drive out the Afrin Kurds. The Kurds in the northeast will probably continue to remain solidly loyal to the coalition forces. They probably will not have much interest in working with Assad. Assad may try to offer them an autonomy deal, but I feel that they will be offered money and military support from the United States, at least from the covert shadow government from the Obama era and the Saudis. They would like to see the Kurds of the Northeast as a means of continuing to subvert and dismember Assad, to salvage their oil pipeline idea. And as I said earlier, from Russia and China's perspective, they have to be very careful. They don't want a situation where there could be a direct military clash while they're supporting the Syrian government, simply because Turkey does remain a NATO ally. In my opinion, Turkey is an ally of NATO in name only. They are only interested in maintaining their relationship with NATO simply to help promote their bigger agenda, which is to see a war between the United States and NATO versus Russia and China. I think that they are extremists, Islamic extremists within the Turkish government that would be very happy to see a wider war between East and West, which Turkey would, in their mind, benefit from. It would create a situation where the world would be in a considerable state of chaos, and there could potentially be no real power left. And Turkey, well, at least these type of extremists would feel that they could benefit to promote their regional agendas. Well, this will end my analysis. Please comment if you wish. Have a good night.